fairly green today. Really good day for trading. Was anyone surprised with this by any chance? Was anyone surprised by the bounce or the drop? Okay, I guess you guys are not talking today. All right. Well, anyway, so we did the PD7 value area high. We talked about it, right? I even mentioned that there's a high chance if we lose that POC that we're probably going to go here from this PW POC here. You had a high possibility to dip here. The December value area high was our kind of like a pivot, right? Because if we broke that 4,000, then it really increased the probabilities to go all the way down. And if you guys look here, this was a really good level for a potential bounce before they get to the bottom here. We do have some calendar stuff coming up for tomorrow, so we'll take a look at it. But it's important to note, today's what shape did we finish in? Does anyone pay
Capital
attention?
B.
Yeah, so you had kind of like a double distribution day, right? So if you look here, let me see if I have that brush tool somewhere. So if you look here, you have this and you have this, right? So in between you have this range and you have this range here. So, I mean, you had a nice little between this peak, and I would say between this peak, you had a nice little acceleration happening. So hopefully you guys were able to catch it. There was some nice moves on contracts, SPX. I had some lottos on 4,000 calls when I saw that we reclaimed some of these levels like PDL here. Well, not this, I'm sorry. When we reclaimed at 39.88, I was like, man, there's a high chance we're going to be running back now. The only shelf that I honestly thought that it was going to reject it was the PD value area low. And once we sliced through this, I was like, wow, the 436 is the target for today. So it'll be really interesting to see how we react. Usually, when you see these accumulations and distributions, you see one that we had here on the way down, right? So on the way down, you had one. It's natural that you enter a short here, especially when you have a trend day, right? So if you guys look at it here, you start the day here at 9:30 when you made lower lows, you had nice big candle down, and then all of a sudden you get these giant reversal candles up. So your instinct first is, hey, maybe I can short here and go from there. But you see here, there's not a lot of stopping volume on this push here. So I'm on 30 minutes. So if you go here, there's really not a lot of stopping volume on these candles that came in and made this run. So it seems like a little bit orchestrated buying, because it was at one point, this is, the volume came in here, right? We really never went over this level, right? You see when we opened here, when we, from midnight, we never really went above. So I don't know if this volume here is truly representative of like a double distribution. If it is, that's great. But to me, structurally, you have a POC that's on the bottom here. And if you just kind of zoom it out. So if you grab it from here to here, there's really not a lot of volume here. So when you grab it from 8:30, there's really not a lot of volume here. And we closed above on that POC. So it's almost like a trick they're playing here. It's really not how the day went. I don't think this should be on the bottom, but it's interesting that they closed, right? When you only grab, the live session from here to here. So let's grab from here to here. We closed in a P shape, a really nice P shape here. And we closed well above the POC, I would say. Let's see, where is it? Where is it? Right here. So you close, well, right above the POC with a really big, nasty candle. So let's see how we react. I mean, tomorrow you're 40, like I would say 40, 50 is the level that we're going to have to break to go higher, right? And based on the calendar, tomorrow is the 26th. So we have durable goods. What else? GDP growth. The top PCs tomorrow, or that's 27th.
PCs as well tomorrow.
Say it again.
I think PCs as well tomorrow.
No, it shows 27th, unless TJ is giving me this crap that doesn't work.
I didn't say nothing, but it is on the economic calendar for tomorrow, as well as the morning. So core PCE is on the 27th.
Okay. Yeah, they don't have much here besides that. I'm gonna stop using this calendar. Somebody suggested it.
Well, they actually updated it and it's changed, and I don't even like the update they did.
Yeah. Anyway, so what we'll do here is, let's see. The only thing, what do you guys notice about the profiles though, and anything different between this one and like this one and this one and this one? Do you guys notice anything that shifted?
B to D to B.
Yeah, but your value area shifted a lot, right? So
Yeah.
your PD value area high was there. Now it's making lower highs here. And then your POC is also shifting down. So, and look where the POC is now. I mean, they are right in this little cluster where we have a lot of demand. Really did not expect them to break through this as easy. But remember, we talked about this the night before. Do you guys recall what we said about this box here?
That the accumulation was in extended hours and not a lot of volume.
Exactly. And look how they sliced through it, right? So if you're to see this during regular hours, now I'm on 30 minutes, this is a pretty big deal. But since we're in the extended hours and you're watching, I said there's a high chance they could just slice through this bad boy and then go from there. And when you think about it, we know this 3960 level has been big before. So if you guys look to the, here, this level has been golden. I mean, it's been so big on the bounces, right? So there was one here. They had, I think, CPI or something was here. They flushed it. They recovered, came back, ran it again. Then we broke it here. Now we broke above it, and here's the support again now. So now they really, really have to take this level out if they want to go 477. So if you break 450, I guarantee you, you're going to be high probability you're getting 4077 on it. And that's of epoch, December 14th. We have the August value area low, and then we also have that trend line. If you guys look on the higher time frames, we also have that trend line here. So it wouldn't be shocking to see this actually happen tomorrow, right? And this would be only the third tap that we have on this trend line. So I know people are looking at this one here, but you can't ignore also these wicks. So I'm using this. A lot of people are using the slanted one. This one gives me a nice little channel, and we only tap the bottom one once. So, if I was to look at the profile from here to here, I don't see a reason why not 3371 sooner than later. Will have to be revisited. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't know when, right? If I did, it'd be a whole different ball game. But eventually something's going to come out, whether it's war or whatever is going to come out, whether it's PCE. But they'll cool it off here and then see from there. So we have these levels now, I believe, updated. Let me make sure I'm not hallucinating. So PD value area high. So there's a lot of stuff now. And you see how when you don't have as many lines and resistance points between your action, you can see it kind of flowing and you see some action right here. But you see that we added so many levels in here, and we don't add levels to kind of congest the chart. Whenever you have space in between the levels, what do you see happening? We fly through them, right? And I mean, look here, like you had PD value area high, the 426 was just a resistance point that we had. But ultimately, I mean, it went from here to the next level immediately. That's 18 points. It went from this point to this point in one candle on 30 minutes. It went from here to here in 1 point, 12 points, 13 points, 13 points. I mean, think about it. That's if you're trading futures or SPX, you can make 100% on SPX on this move. And I mean, this one here was a pretty good move on the bounce side, right? So I expected the 3960, and I think I wrote it in the morning that they're going to do that. But I also mentioned that 120, that 436 could be the level where they're headed. And I mean, they came, I would say they came very, very close to it, a point away or so. Well, I guess they tagged it here. So they tagged that. So now, this is your go long level. Ideally, your short level is if you can go kind of break below this 426, then you have some room to go there. At least, you can catch about 9 points there. Below the previous week POCs, things get really interesting because then they got to defend this level as well. And it didn't seem like there was a lot of aggressive buyers when we went there the first time. And maybe they trapped some longs here, but this was just very interesting that they did not have a strong low here.
So ideally, if we are outside December value, as in we went inside December value area, strongly pushed out. So ideally, any dip into 4,000 should be bought.
Should be now, yes. I would expect this to be defended better than what they did here. I feel like they set up a trap here. So I agree. Yeah. I mean, for me, even in my notes, if you went back to the notes from yesterday or this morning, I wrote, I expect 4,000 to be defended heavily. But I think it was a perfect trap. I mean, how many people probably shorted here 60 and bought 39, expecting 50 bounce here just because the cycle of numbers, right? Probably a lot of people fell for that. So if you guys look, 39.60 was our level, 39.88, 39.60. I'm just kind of looking at what we posted here.
Shorty.
So this was the downside, 88, 60, 34, 20. And here's our upside, same levels. So, I mean, from the level where we're at, 415, so we hit that right here. You have 426, that was the line, the purple line. And then you have also, 450. That's the kind of the pivot point right now is at 450 here. And it seems like we're gonna break it for some reason or the other. I don't know how Tesla did after hours. Okay, so they're 152. And God Almighty, I mean, Tesla is. Do you guys see anything weird on Tesla here, or?
A lot of epochs.
Yeah, I mean, you have a handful of epochs here. And this is a fairly large shelf that we're coming up on. I would expect a rejection here, to be honest. This is a good rejection point for Tessie. I don't know if you guys, anyone read the report on Tesla yet? But overall, I mean, they're betting on some new, platform for the cars, a new Cybertruck, which they're not expecting to increase their bottom line. But also, this is a Q4 data, right? So then you have the Q1 where they actually cut the prices and their margin is already down. Their free cash flow was down by 1.8 billion. And I don't know if that's mainly because of the Twitter deal or what is being funded from this budget. But let's see how they do next quarter as well, right? I personally would not buy Tesla shares here because it's going to be important to see how they do in the next quarter for me. And I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, you can call it all you want. I see a rising wedge bear flag, right? So, and it could be that it plays out, far out, but this is still pretty relevant here. So I would watch this on Tessie tomorrow. I'll be interested in this level here for some swing puts. See how we react. Ideally, we kind of break it, come back, and this will be our entry. So we will be watching for this break above, and there's a high chance that they can also, Tesla moves like a rocket. They can push it all the way to 183 as well. So if they can hop over the 160, 158, don't be surprised to see it at 180 fairly soon. Okay. Just to go back on ES, does anyone have any questions on ES? Is anyone confused on any of the aspects of today? On what's tomorrow, or you guys okay?
On a day like today, typically do you see like mostly consolidation the next day because of such a big move?
Usually you will have a trend day.
Okay.
So, today was a pretty, high swing, meaning down, up. So you went down, I would say, let's call it from here. You went down 1.5, and then you came back almost 2%, which is unusual, right? And this way they're able to cool off those oscillators that people use, right? And give them a false hope or a good hope of buying and, cooling RSIs, MACDs or whatnot. But now you're entering some supplies here, and let's see how they react. I mean, they're not building the best way. When you look at, the bigger picture here, you have a demand here. We bounced off of this demand here. Well, this demand needs to take out the supply right now. If they don't take out this supply, there's a high chance we're going to this 39.20 level here. So they really need to take this out. Maybe they do it overnight or tomorrow. I don't know who has pre-market earnings, but this is an important level tomorrow. 40.50 for upside. You can rocket pretty much 2 candles to 40.80. So I would definitely watch this tomorrow. And this is a big level for a bounce. And if you guys think about it, we came here recently, right? We popped, we accumulated, and then a huge pop all the way here. So I would say about 100 points or so. And I would not be shocked if we come back to this level. So if you just extend this over to the left, and you think about the market, you went up, broke it, and this is where you short, right? So if you guys remember, this is your shorting opportunity, your first retest after such a break of resistance. This was your short. This is pretty much textbook short here. Then once you break it, right here, you broke it. This is your long, and now you're pretty much done kind of chasing right now. So if you haven't caught any of these nice moves here, you're in a danger now because there's no knowns what they're going to do. So now if you think about this 40.48 opens the level to go to 40.85 because this is the the previous resistance and support. So that's kind of what we were watching, and that's November value area highs there. So if you think about this, that's the level that has to be broken now. You were in this range, you got rejected here, you came back, you created a kind of like a lower level range here. If you guys look, this was the lower level range that you created, and then you did not agree on this. You popped, you accepted to being outside of this range, and you popped higher. Now you're making higher lows here, which is showing you the buyers are willing to accept higher prices, right? They have higher bids. So now we're watching to see, hey, can we create a new higher range? Can we be accepted above 40.50? If we are accepted above 40.50, what do you guys see on the next range? So you have the 485, but in bigger rejection, it's your September value area high is the top of the range that you're targeting. You see it here, you see it here. They're going to come back and be like, hey, we really want to test this. So there's a high chance they're going to be going for this right here. Okay.
And once they go above this 40.50, then that resistance will become support, as in the tap of 7. Remember, value
Exactly.
area high should be support then.
That's correct. And that's what we're looking for. On a bigger run, we need to reclaim this and accept it. And when I say accept, don't think a lot of people, when you think about these levels that we had on the bottom, just to kind of give you a scenario, let me go on 3 hours. You see this area on the bottom that I circled? Let me just kind of circle it in a different color so you guys can all understand it. So if you see the green area, right? We popped out of this right here is not a pop, right? This is not a retest. This is a trap. This is what they call a test. They want to see if there are buyers, they're available, and are they willing to participate? So they tested and they're like, oh yeah, look at the candle that broke. And what did they do here? They consolidated for a long period of time, and retail pays attention, right? Well, some retail pays attention. And they popped this, they came back a little bit inside. I mean, you can almost telegraph the move here. Let me grab the low. So they came back, bounced pretty much off the 50%, and then they went higher. This is a retest. When you make a higher high, you break this, you broke the structure here again, you really go away from this, and then you come back. That's where you go long. Don't look for these breakouts, even on, when I'm trading 1-2 minutes. Right. So if you're trading on smaller time frames, let's go on SPY or something. Qs on chart. So let's say you're trading 3 minutes on Qs, right? So if you're going off of these levels that are pretty much like tiny, right? You need to give it a space, but you don't need as much space on these levels. So if I look at this demand here, right, we pretty much consolidated here. There's a lot of overlap on candles. On smaller time frames, this is good. Like this retest is good. You broke, you came back, and that's pretty good. Right. So if you're targeting, for instance, let's say this one, you know, well, you could have been grabbing all the way up to here. So you see this, right? We popped over it and you're coming back in here. You immediately have a candle. Well, you can put your entry somewhere around here. And this is a pretty good entry to go forward. You can peel some, you know, on this level right here. I didn't mean to do that. You can peel some right here, and that would have been a good, you know, entry. 282 to 284, you're done. And that's naturally where you want to get out. Let me see. That's naturally where you want to get out because this is where they accumulated as well. Let me just grab this. So here you probably would have, I would have trimmed here, and you would have had a little bit more space for this liquidity grab that they had. And then, I mean, they just continued up. They ripped it from 281 to what? Wow, 288. Wow, that's insane. It's a pretty good recovery, right? So you can use this on any time frames, right? If you're, you know, using 2 minutes, you can also find it on 2 minutes. So if you just pay attention to the highs and lows and the retests, here's your higher high. And look at this. Your higher high, you came back, you broke it, you went higher, and what do you do here? You get a nice little up. And this, guys, this happens in every time frame. It's just the type of trader you are. So like this one here, this was a pretty strong, you know, bounce. We kind of went there, but we never came back. So I wouldn't be shocked if we come back to 285 and you do a little bounce. Because right now you see here, there's multiple bounces right here, right? So they already executed this one too many times. But if you look to the left here, I mean, we're in a pretty good supply. What seemed to be a supply before. So if you just grab this on the volume profile, and then you can figure out like, where are you? Why are you rejecting where you're rejecting right now? And it should give you a picture, right? And here's the picture. And as you guys know, I don't do a single level. Rarely do I put a single level. Do you guys think this is a surprise? I mean, and this is simple stuff, guys. There's no fucking millions of terms of marking your chart with this and that, 50,000 terms. No, this is just a volume accumulation setup. This is where they accumulated before an imbalance happened, and you're playing the retest of the imbalance. And this was a really, really good short if you're here now. So hopefully, does this make sense? If you're new, if you're not new, you need to simplify it. Even if you don't have a single level on your chart, just look at this. I suggest you use 30 minutes and just look at it. Look at the chart as much as you can get on your screen and see, where did the accumulations happen? Where did the overlaps happen? Well, I see a lot of overlap here, right, before the move happened. So if I want to know from here to here, where is there a potential? Well, there's a potential here. And if I want to grab it to see the shelves, then I'm grabbing this to see, right? And what do you notice? Where do we bounce today? So you had this, remember, this was the low volume zone. They dipped it below, of course, they trapped some people, and then boom. They literally bounced it off of the real volume shelf. So if you guys look, your real volume shelves occurred somewhere around here. And that's, I would say that's here that they're bouncing it. So let's see. But this happens literally on every stock that you can think about. Here's Amazon. Same thing here. I mean, this was a trap again. This was a liquidity grab. And same thing here. And it's right there. Let's see what happens. You see the body of this candle here. That's at 4 o'clock. And let's see how they behave. What do you notice about this supply? What did it do?
Distribution.
Yeah, but it broke the structure. It made a new lower low. So this tells you that this supply was fairly big here, right? So and then if you look at volume on a daily, well, this was a massive, I guess, recovery for Amazon today. They stopped me on the puts as well. I think I took a 40% hit, but I only lost a little bit. I already had made some money on Amazon. But here, I mean, this is a consolidation now pretty much on the daily, right? So if you look here, this is still consolidating here. So this looked like a little trap. They tested to see, well, they came back and they're still inside of this. So they still have this level here. That's pretty important to them. Then you grab the weeklies. There's that one. And then here's an interesting point that they might be after right here at 104. So I would not be shocked if they kind of come back for this one here eventually. But let's see, I mean, here as you come to the supply, you see some volume picking up on selling. As you came to the bottom, there's some buying here. So let's see what happens as we come up to that 99.29 level in terms of volume. Because this could be looking like a potential what?
Exhaustion.
Could be an exhaustion here building, because if you look at the 4-hour candles here, look at this. So let's see what happens, right? I mean, you're in the 4-hour supply right now. You're literally sitting right at it right now. So let's see how they play it, but this could be a potential exhaustion. This was, you know, if you grab this all the way to the end, kind of figure out what's going on in terms of the consolidation, right? So you have this level here to pay attention to, right? 98.20. So you break that, you're going another $1 up. And then if you break this level, which is 94.22, and if you're able to close below that, I would say on a daily, if you're able to close on a daily below this 94, there's a high chance you're going to be going at least to the bottom of this, which should be 87.
That's also December value area high, the 94-ish.
Yeah, so that's another confluence item, right? And the more you simplify your charting, the easier you will be to trade. Like, let's say this guy here today, I think it had a lot of good moves. I think this one started like a rocket in the morning. Yeah. So here, you know, they accumulated, and you could have played this, you know, whether it's a triangle connecting higher, lower highs. You had this right here. They had a nice little trap. Then they broke it. And then you see, I mean, I don't know how liquid this thing is, just has a lot of weird wicks. And then they obviously ran it higher, but this one's probably price action wise not the best one. I like trading cat. Cat's pretty good. It does come back to retest a lot. So if you guys look here, this is pretty good here. If you guys look right here, there's another consolidation there. And they're coming close to these, so that's pretty good, but you can also fib this out. And there goes the 50% right on the money, and then continue to the high of the day. So as long as you get a trend, you can trade these fibs and use it. If you're trading in the range, just use the 50% up and down along with a POC, and simplify your trading a lot more than maybe a ton of, you know, levels that you're kind of adding and more confluence items, different strategies. Simplify it, right? Whether it's naked trading, you can make money without knowing if there's any future levels above, just looking at, let's say, 1 hours to see, you know, hey, where's the next liquidity grab? Where can it go? Where can it reject? You don't need a lot to be a successful day trader. The more crap you add, the harder it is to trade. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right, let me check ES before we get off. See if anything's changing here. I don't think they're going to give much range here before tomorrow, unless there's some leaks in data.
Shorty, can you check your DM once you're off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't see any DMs.
It's me, CK. I did send you some.
Let me see. I see it now. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys.
Shorty,
Well, Mhm.
what did you mean? So where we bounced today, what did you mean by there was no stopping volume? Thank you.
Yeah. So if you think, have you read Anna Cooling book?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a good investment for yourself to read it. So usually what you want to see is when you're going down, you want to see buyers come in, but you want to see them come in with the volume. You want to see them changing the behavior on the volume, but also on this on the way the candle is built. So usually you should see some kind of hammer and an uptick on volume. I think I saw today one on ES on 3 minutes. I don't know where. There you go. There's one right here. So you see we have a nice, you have lower lows, lower highs on each candle, and then we are getting a little bit tighter, right? Smaller body candles. But look at this candle here. And then look at the volume on the bottom. What do you notice?
Volume is increasing.
Volume, increased a lot. It's the highest volume you had on a buying since open, meaning green volume here. But then also you stopped right here. Basically, the price action stopped on this candle here, meaning the volume was pretty strong here. The buyers were stepping in here. And then they bounced right here off of our levels. And then look, we reclaimed that. Once you reclaim this, it was pretty much go ahead. And they rocketed. So I look for volume anomalies and volume, like stopping volume here or reversal volumes on the top, stopping volume on the top. And same thing happened up, right? Let me see. I'll probably be able to find one here. So, okay, here's a good scenario on stopping volume on the top. So what do you see here?
Volume increased.
Volume increased, right? While you're at the top, the red volume here is increasing, but the body of the candle is getting so much tighter, right? So you're pushing up, but then red volume here is coming down. So it's telling you, hey, there's a high chance we're going to be going down here. So if you look at this, you came here, you trapped some shorts here. I'm sorry, well, depends how you look at it. Longs on SQQ, shorts on the market, and then you kind of went down from this consolidation here. Look at this. You dumped, you kind of came back here, and then you continued down all the way. So you went from 45 all the way to 42 based on just kind of reading the market and seeing what the candles do. And usually 5 minutes is good, or 3 minutes. I wouldn't use like 1 minute just because it's not reliable on the volume itself, right? So if you see this one here, yeah, it might have worked right here, selling volume, and then we dumped. Here's this one here. So if you look at it, it wasn't really reliable on 1 minute. So I wouldn't use 1 minute if you can avoid it. Use 5 or 3. Sometimes I use higher time frames as well to see what's going on.
Okay,
And
thank you.
that's also in the PowerPoint. I believe I think I added that. That's also here. Did I add that? No. No, but I'll add it here. I'll add it tonight and I'll update it. So here's, maybe you should go at least over these slides to understand, the anomalies where you have wide body spread candle along with the high volume, like when it follows through. That kind of confirms, right? So think about it, effort and a result. If it takes that much to create a body, you would expect institutional buyers to be involved, right? So if you see something like this, where it's a big candle, but the volume is low, that's signaling that, the effort and the results not lining up, and potentially the institutional buyers are no longer involved in that transaction. So that's kind of using the price and volume to tell you, hey, does this move agree? If you saw a trailer, a 50-foot trailer, and then you saw a Mini Cooper pulling that, how would you feel about it?
Not so good.
Yeah, you wouldn't you wouldn't feel so safe. So that's how you should feel when you see something like this, especially on higher time frames. When you see that, hey, something's really odd here, right? I mean, you're pushing here. So for instance, let's see. So watch this. As you're going up, right? So as you're going up here, you're going
Volume's
up,
going down.
but the volume is decreasing. Like, hey, dude, like what's going on? Well, look what happened immediately after. They stopped. They stopped, and here's your kind of, this is a daily, so it's a big deal, right? So you went from 51 to about 41.
Right. It's
So
those
that,
volume anomalies that you were talking about that you can
yeah,
look for.
yeah. So you want to pay attention a lot to these. You have a single candle volume anomaly, and some people get them a little bit confused. If you look at this, right, this is not an anomaly. A low body spread candle with a low volume matches, meaning Mini Cooper pulling a small little trailer, right? That's okay. Mini Cooper pulling, you know, in this case, a 50-foot trailer, that, you know, that doesn't make sense. You know, you need a bigger truck to pull that trailer. So this is an example of it. I don't know if the analogy makes sense, but I just came up with it.
Right.
So that's the analogy, at least, that makes sense to me. So that's
Yeah, that
what
makes
this
sense.
is, yeah, what I talk about. So hopefully, and then another thing, this was actually in one of the books here. Just I added it to, so if anyone's buying shares, you can find this concept, the 30-week MA, and then the stages that we talked about, right, where you have accumulation, markup. Here you have a consolidation and distribution and the markdown. This 30-week EMA on a weekly, right? If you use the weekly and 30-week MA, you can actually make some decent purchases in a stock market. So let me show you here just so you guys can see it. So if you go on the weekly here on this one, well, let's do SPY just for it. Look at this right here. Once this crosses on the weekly, right? Usually it'll give you a nice retest. Look at this. You could have been riding this all the way up to here. Then it crossed down, regained it, and it drove back. Then it lost it. Let me just delete this line so you guys can see it. It lost it here, and now we're again above it. So we went above it here. We spent some time. So it'll be interesting how, you know, how long do we spend time above it. So last time it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 weeks. So this could go on for a little bit longer, right? The bull run, and that's why I keep saying there's a high chance they could push this potentially to 430 on SPY, right? And surprise a lot of people, get people thinking, hey, this is a bullish market, we're done, pivots, and then boom. When least people expect it, they kind of give you a little shock and catch a lot of people on the wrong foot. So always have a little bit of hedges, right? At least don't go heavy in swings if you get a little FOMO. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense on the volume side.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. I'll be on tomorrow. On Friday, we'll trade live and see how we do in terms of market behavior. If tomorrow is the PCE, I don't expect them to do a lot of moves. I would expect a digestion on Friday, but let's see how they react. I mean, lately they've been doing some weird movements like today, right? You drop a lot and then you come back with the full body candle to the top. So let's see how they react tomorrow, and then we'll definitely trade live Friday.
Oh, Shorty, I had one question about the volume today.
Oh yeah, sure.
I think it was on ES. I know you were going over ES earlier.
Mhm.
I was a little confused because when we had the, I guess it was kind of like the low of the day, kind of before, I guess we had the run up. The reason why I was confused is it looks like the green volume, at least, kind of looks like it just keeps decreasing, but the price keeps going up. And I know it's more like about like the momentum and whatnot, but it's still, I don't know, that part was confusing me a little bit.
Yeah, so if you look at here on 10 minutes, you see a full body here. This was a pretty good sign on 10 minutes. Hey, it looks like we're no longer going to go down. There's some buyers stepping in, right? So they're like, hey, I think this is enough. And then, of course, whenever you have a magnet like this, we had multiple levels. PD val wasn't here before, but we had another level. I forgot what it was. It was there. We had 2 levels there, or maybe not, but I know PD7 value area low was there. And this bounced almost to a T there. But they're giving you a signal that there's buyers potentially stepping in to go long. This right here was a pretty good confirmation. I'm pretty sure if we go on 5 minutes, if you look here, the volume picked up much more than red. You see the red candles, the 3 crows, they're picking up, but then the stopping volume is coming in. Then you had another one, they hit the, 39.86, and I think we shorted it here as well. At least I did. I think I wrote in the chat that I'm short here. And that went all the way down, and then literally they came back, filled that imbalance on the volume, and they ran. Even though you think the volume was weak, there's a lot of confirmations on volume too. So in this run up here, the push all the way to PDPOC, they had a nice run. Then you look at this candle confirms, it really checks out. You had a lot of volume, above average volume, and above average candle. And then of course, if don't pay attention too much from 12 to about, I would say 3 o'clock. Because this right here is fluff. And they can do that pretty much any time. Just because they can kind of sell and bid so high between themselves, like high frequency trading, they can push this up in these tiny increments. And it's perfect for them, right? Because a lot of people are expecting these pullbacks. You see a candle like this, I don't know, in 5 minutes. How many people would not short this if you're a candle trader? Right. So you see this and you're like, yeah, man, this is a pretty good short, and you don't get out on time. And it's not like you would have gotten a lot of points. You would have gotten 4 points. And then people kind of get lost, right? And then they get trapped. But this was your signal here. Hey, we're going to slow down. And we're at a major bounce level. If we are able to break below this, then we would have shown the hand that we want to go to this level here. But, they kind of accumulated here, and there was volume telling us, hey, there's a high chance we're going to go higher. So yes, overall, when you look at the picture, right, on the volume, I agree, right? On 4 hours, this is pretty wide body candle, and you see the volume is kind of picking up here, right? So overall, you see the volume here. I would say this is picking up on the buying side on 4 hours, right? And then you see this smaller body candle, smaller here. So far it checks out on 4 hours. And then you can go into higher time frames and see, hey, what else do we see? So on the daily on ES, you see this candle here, pretty red candle at the bottom wick off of the demand zone. So, this also checks out. It's not stopping volume. We want to see a little bit more green volume come in. And then here, of course, we just started the day. So there is anomalies, right? There's some anomalies here, right? Here you have an anomaly. And then look at this candle here. This is the one that's really interesting, right? You have a pretty low volume, from here is the second lowest volume. And this happens to be like maybe second or third biggest candle. So this one here was a little iffy right here. And then you see here, we're slowing down, we're hitting the supply, they tested the supply, and then they're kind of offloaded here. So far it's not way off where you can be like, okay, well, what's going on? But then you look at the weekly and you're like, okay, well, something's not right here. So if you look at weekly, right, this whole run up here, what's it telling you?
Oh, it looks like it's not sustainable because the volume just keeps going down.
It keeps going down. So different time frames, different type of trader, different story, right? So if you're a swing trader, you're watching this level as you if you look at this, once you hit this the second time, they didn't really like it. So now, the sellers really need to offload some stuff here. Even though the sellers, if you think about them, they had a bearish anomaly as well, or a bullish anomaly. They started selling, and you see how quickly they came into this demand zone, and the volume was switching here. there was a shift in the volume. But overall, from this point, not many buyers are participating. At least institutional buyers are not sitting in. I don't care what they say, but institutional buyers are not buying this. Otherwise, we would have seen something else. Look at the volume on the monthly here. So same thing. Okay. Somebody asked about MA. Yeah. So if you just put the MA like a simple moving average here, and you use a weekly chart, right? So this is a. Let me make sure this is on. I believe it's 30. So if you use this 30-week MA, a lot of people buy shares using the 30-week MA. So if you put it on the weekly and use a 30, there's a lot of opportunities where you can go long and use it, you know, to benefit you, to make sure that you have the right trend, that you have the stuff behind you, you can go along. So if you see here, right, on SPY, this thing happened to be above it, like around 300, right? So most people that got in, you know, they're able to ride it all the way until it closes below. And it really didn't close till January here, till about 452. And now, you know, you had 1, 2, this is third. So this is the fourth retest here now on that one. And you can use it on pretty much any stock. And look at, for instance, Amazon. You know, you went above it, you went under it. And now, you know, if you're able to break that 110-ish, pretty high chance that you're going to be nice for some shares for, you know, purchases there. And like, if you look at Qs, we're kind of right there, right? And there's something evident, pretty clear on Qs here. So just keep in mind what I just showed you, and it's happening right here. Was that pretty clear? That's a really clean one as well. You had stopping volume here come in compared to the previous one, but in terms of volume, that's just not a lot of volume. And then you're unable to kind of break this. And if you look at maybe 3 days, and you grab this right here. Why is it grabbing so much? Yeah. So here's our POC. We're above it, 283. So I wouldn't be shocked if they go for this 296 very soon. That would be the level of interest. Yeah, I think they're headed to 295 here soon. I mean, they recovered 8 points today. That's 8 points away. Okay. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you learned something, and let's see what we do tomorrow. Just be patient. Let the trades come to you. Let them consolidate. Let them tip the hand, so you know you don't have to trade, guys. You don't have to trade every moment. The less you feel like that you have to trade, the better you'll be, because you're going to be a little bit more picky of a trader, right? So I definitely suggest that you know, let them consolidate. If the move runs away from you and never comes back, well, it was never retesting, so there was no buyers to defend, and you're not part of it. So same thing, pretty much on anything that you're trading, whether it's Qs, SPY, ES, whatever you're doing, wait for some kind of retest, because if you don't, you're going to be playing with fire, and you're going to get caught without a stop loss, and you're going to lose everything you have. Okay. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night. We'll catch you guys tomorrow. I will schedule a class for Sunday. We're going to be covering some basics for newer people on volume profile, literally basics. So if you've been through it, maybe you don't need to join, but if you want to kind of renew some of the knowledge, that's great. So I'll put some videos together as well. I have 2 videos down on the entry of volume profile, like entry level, and I'll share that with the beginners, so you guys can at least kind of start bringing up your knowledge a little bit on how to use volume profile, so you don't feel left out. And if you're not in the Discord, you plan on joining, it might be a good time to join. We will stop having new members altogether very soon. So if you're not in, if you have a chance, if you want to learn volume profile, you're welcome to. If you have other resources, that's great. If you have questions, you can message me. I will not ignore you. So good luck, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Shorty.
Thanks, Shorty. Good night.
Shorty.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night, everyone.